Hey, so welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be going through every single book series that I have ever completed, either fully or the rest of the books aren't out yet. That is a true testament to how much I love a book if I continue the series and continue to keep up to date with it, or even finish it, especially because some of these series are so long. What a better way to do a recommendation video than to tell you all the series that I've finished. I'm going to split this video up into two parts because I have read so many series. Most of these series are going to be fantasies because that's just what most series are. There are a few of other genres in here, like we've got some romance, we've got some dystopian, we've got some mysteries. Let's just get started. The first one I've got here is the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. I don't have the final one in physical form. I need to get that. The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and then The Queen of Nothing, and there's two novellas as well. One is called How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories, and I think the other one called The Lost Sisters or something like that. So The Cruel Prince follows Jude Duarte, who is well regarded as a very strong female main character in the book community. She is one of my favourite female main characters in a book of all time. She's quite young. I think this is young adult. Don't let that stop you. I think that sometimes YA can put people off, but I really wouldn't let that put you off in these books. So we follow her, and she and her sister, they get brought up in the Feywild. I believe their true father is actually Fey, so he comes and kidnaps them and takes them with him. That might be a lie. I can't actually remember. But something like that happens, and then they have to go to the Feywild together. They get brought up there, but because they're human, people don't trust them, because in this world, Fae can't lie, but humans can still lie. They go to the school and they get very heavily bullied, but Jude is the sort of person who sticks up for herself, which kind of then makes it worse. Follows that sort of story in the first book, and it kind of develops a little bit in the second and third one. The second and third one have a lot more romance than this one. The romance isn't really developed in this one. I really enjoy this series. This one was a 5-star for me. This one was a 3.5 just because I think it sets up well, but I don't think there's much substance to it compared to the other two books. But I was completely addicted to this book, so I would definitely read this series just to read this book in particular. I loved this one. Any book with a good, strong female main character I will love. Then I may as well do all of Sarah J Maas's series in one. We'll start with ACOTAR because that was her first series. So ACOTAR, you've definitely heard of it, but if you haven't heard of it, it is a fantasy which follows Feyre. And she is a human, and she also kind of gets kidnapped to be taken to the Feywild because she shoots a wolf who she thinks is just a wolf and providing dinner for her poor family, but it's actually a Fae. So as punishment she gets taken and she has to live in this, it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. She has to live in this castle with this man. That's just the first book. It really develops in the further books, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to tell you. But we follow 4 full-length books and 1 novella, but 2 more books have been announced. I think one of them is going to be like shorter and the other one's like really long. So I'm very excited for that. This was one of my first fantasy series and I'll always love it for that. I think it's probably my least favourite of Sarah J Maas's series now that I've read all of them. I absolutely love all of them, and like there's still 5-star books in this series and I stand by that. But Sarah J Maas's books are such a high standard to me. I think this is probably my least favourite of all of them. I think it goes in order, so ACOTAR, then Throne of Glass, and then Crescent City in terms of my favourites, but these are really amazing books, especially for beginning to get into fantasy. The first 3 books and the novella follow Feyre, and then the last one follows Nesta, who's Feyre's sister. And I'm assuming the new books that are coming out, I haven't read too much into it, but I'm assuming they're following different characters in those. So I'm very excited for that. But for now, I've completed this series. I'm not going to get all the Throne of Glass books out because there is just a lot, and my bookshelf is already looking absolutely ransacked. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books, including the novella, but it's not really a novella, it's like a 300 something, like 400 page book. I personally read Assassin's Blade first and then go from there, but if you want to do it the other way, I think Assassin's Blade is 3rd or 4th, I can't remember, I think 4th. Then Throne of Glass would be your first one. I'm not going to give the synopsis of Assassin's Blade in case you want to read that 4th. So Throne of Glass follows Selene Asar-Dothian, and she has been trained her whole life to be an assassin. It's not really what she wants to do, she kind of has to do it and gets lumped with doing it. and she becomes really good at it. She's like the best assassin in the world, and she is basically being forced in this mining cave. I don't really know what it is. Punishment for something else that she did, and in order to get out she competes in the king's competition to be his champion assassin, and if she wins she then doesn't have to go back to that place. So she kind of puts all her effort into winning, even though she doesn't really like the king or really want to do that, but that's her only way to get her freedom. So she competes against all these other contestants, and it's kind of like trials, and they all have to go through them to see who wins to be the king's champion. But honestly, this book series is unrecognisable from the first book to the last book. I can't really tell you anything else without spoiling it, but just know it gets very, very insane. I also absolutely love this series. I don't think there's any more coming for Throne of Glass, but you never know with Sarah J Maas. Lastly, for Sarah J Maas, I've got the Crescent City series, so that's House of Earth and Blood, House of Flame and Shadow, and House of Sky and Breast, actually in the wrong order. House of Flame and Shadow is last. This is my favourite Sarah J Maas series and my favourite series of all time. We basically follow Bryce, who is our main character in this book, and she's our main character in all of them, but a lot more POVs get added in these two books. In this one it is mostly just Bryce, and she is a bit of a party goer. She's very different to Sarah J Maas's other main characters, and then this very tragic thing happens and she kind of gets snapped back into reality a little bit, and then we flash forward a couple of years and another very tragic thing happens that is kind of also related to her. Detectives in this world are trying to figure out what's going on, and because they're both being related to her, they kind of assign Hunt, who is like our male main character, to be a bodyguard for her, whilst also spying on her, whilst also they're trying to like figure out what is going on together, because Bryce is probably the only one who's going to be able to help him figure out what's going on, because she's so close to both of the things that happened. Right from the off, there is just so much happening in these books, and you will never get bored. I know a lot of people don't like them because they think they're very intense, and they can be a little bit intense, but I think just trust you keep reading, you'll figure it out and you'll have so much fun. I absolutely love this series. Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is a 3-book series. Once Upon a Broken Heart, A Ballad of Never After, and A Curse for True Love. This series is by Stephanie Garber, and I absolutely love this series. We follow Evangeline, who is a very whimsical female main character, and her boyfriend or fiance or something is leaving her for someone else, and she wants to stop the wedding. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts, because in this world we have like fates who can grant you wishes, and she goes to him and she asks him to put a stop to this wedding, and in exchange you have to give something to these fates. It's never a good idea to actually make a deal with a fate, and so she gives him 3 kisses to be given at the time and place of his choosing. Really quite strange, but that's what happens. It's just very whimsical, a very pretty book, and I really enjoyed it. And then the other 2 books are also really good. I think my favourite one is The Ballad of Never After. This one is such an amazing book. I think it's a 5-star book from me, and all these covers are so beautiful as well. I've got this special edition of this one, so it's blue instead of pink and red. Yeah, really enjoy that series. Also from Stephanie Garber, we have the Caraval series. I keep holding all these series up in the wrong order. We have Caraval, Legendary and Finale. Although I said that this would be a really good recommendations video, because if I finished a series, you know I love it. I loved Caraval. Caraval is a 5-star book from me. I didn't like these 2 books. I think they're like a 3-star for this one and like a 2 point something for this one. I just didn't enjoy them, and I don't think that it had the same magic as Caraval. So Caraval, we follow, what's her name? Juliet, I think? Scarlett. Where did I get Juliet from? And she and her sister have always talked about this mystical circus magical place called Caraval, where you go and you take place in a competition. Whoever wins, I think, gets granted a wish, and they have to play this game in this magical place, and you kind of don't know what is real, if anything is real. All these weird things happen. Scarlett and her sister Donatella go and take part. I don't know if I can say much else, to be fair, but it was very magical and I really, really enjoyed that. It was kind of like all these twists and turns, you never knew what was going to happen, and I really liked the romance in this book. This one then follows Donatella, I believe, and I didn't really like Donatella that much. I much preferred following Scarlet. I didn't really care too much about Donatella, and then they completely ruined Scarlet's romance as well in these books, and so I really didn't like these two. But I did really like this one. Next we have the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. So this one is by Holly Jackson, and it's a bit of a mystery thriller young adult series. It's very good. I'm sure you've all heard of it. It has a series on Netflix now. We basically follow this girl called Pip, and she doing her A-levels in college. I'm sorry if the lighting's just changed, the sun keeps going in and out. And she decides to do this project, which you can choose to do, called an EPQ. You basically do like a presentation on whatever you want. And she decides to do it on this murder that happens in her town, and while she's doing it, she kind of realises that she doesn't think the person who was convicted for doing it actually did it. And so she partners up with the guy who's convicted of doing it's brother to solve the mystery of who actually committed this murder. Obviously it's very far-fetched, but if you look past that, it's just a very fun book series. There's 3 books. There's also a bit of romance in it, and I think it's such a sweet romance as well. And they get very intense for a young adult book. Like, you're not going to be bored, and I really, really, really love this series. I'm not including duologies in this, but because this duology recently had a prequel attached to it, I thought it's kind of a series now. So that is the Divine Rivals series. We have Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, which was the original duology, but then we got Wild Reverence earlier this year. In Divine Rivals, we follow Roman and Iris, and they both work at this newspaper which is reporting on this war that is going on. Roman and Iris have this rivalry and they don't really like each other that much. But then Iris's brother goes off to fight in this war. Iris has this magical typewriter which she can write letters on and then slip the letter underneath a wardrobe door, I think it is, and then it will then go off to the person that she's writing to. But there is a bit of a malfunction with that, and instead of the letters going to her brother who is at war, it goes to Roman. And Roman knows it's Iris writing to him, but Iris doesn't know that it's Roman writing back. She knows that it's not his brother and it's just her brother and it's just a random guy, but she doesn't know that it's Roman. And so they kind of form this relationship over letters, and you know me, I love letters in books. I think it's written really beautifully. I really enjoyed the setting of it and everything. And then we have Ruthless Vows as well, which I think I didn't enjoy it as much just because it had a lot more fantasy plot, and that wasn't really the part of Divine Rivals that I loved. And then this year we got Wild Reverence, which is a prequel to Divine Rivals. It's not really that related to Divine Rivals. It's just following one of the gods. It's kind of referenced in this book because the fantasy part of this book is the gods in this world, and this one follows one of the gods. Then we have the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. This one we have Powerless, Reckless and Fearless as the full-length ones, but we also have Powerful and Fearful as the novellas. In Powerless we follow Payton, and she is an ordinary, and in this world, ordinaries and you have elites. And the ordinaries are banished. You're not allowed to be an ordinary in this land anymore because they're believed to give diseases to the elites, which then makes them ordinary. So they've been banished, but because Payton didn't want to be banished from this kingdom, she pretends that her power is to be a psychic and that she can read people, and she learns to do this very well so that people all think that she's an elite and that is her power. One day the prince comes to where she lives in the slums, and he ends up getting in a bit of a tussle with this guy and getting robbed, and she kind of saves him. As a reward, she gets entered into this competition, which is a load of trials, and whoever wins the trials is like declared the most elite of all the elites. It's not like you get put in trials as punishment, it's like an honour and people will really want to take part in these trials. And so as a prize, she gets put into these trials with all these actual elites, these amazing powers, and she has to try and survive through all these trials. There's obviously a romance in it as well, and it all develops in the later books. I really loved all these books. People have very mixed opinions on this series. A lot of people don't like the later two and they love the first one. Personally, I think I gave them all a 5-star. I just love these characters so much, and they could be doing anything, but particularly Powerless and Fearless, I do honestly think even without my attachment to the characters, they would fully be a 5-star. I think I'm gonna leave this video there. I think that's enough series for this video. If you want to, you can subscribe down below and you'll be notified when I upload part 2 to this with the rest of the series that I have finished. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below any series that you've finished that you think would be completely worth my time to read. If you want to, you can follow my social medias at _libraryofeden on both TikTok and Instagram, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.